Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our next webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series still, because we are now into 2021 and we're all still at home. But I've got some brilliant people to join me this morning. So I've got Sandra Corkin from Oasis Travel, Paul Cleary from Caribtours, and Alan Cross from Jet2 Holidays. So welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me. I guess I'd just like to go round really and find out initially how you're finding peaks, because I guess this is a peaks like no other. So if we start with you, Sandra, and obviously we have the news of the vaccines leading up to Christmas and it seemed a little bit more positive, but I guess with other news around lockdown, things may have changed. But tell us how you're finding things.
Yes, okay. So obviously January, we're really looking forward to what I thought was going to be the first month of a bit of a recovery, and then with the lockdown, that wasn't to be. So we have set sort of a target for 30% of what our sales were last January, and we're really trying hard to achieve that by a lot of various different things. But I really do feel that there's a real nervousness with people at the minute, that with the other lockdown, I don't know whether it's because everybody nearly knows now somebody that is suffering from COVID and it seems more real, but we certainly are finding that even people that were due to depart in January and February, whose holidays may be going ahead, that they're actually calling us wanting to change those dates, because I think there's a lot of people who just don't want to travel during lockdown. We are getting bookings and a lot of them are for 2022. So over 10% of our forward business now is for 2022. So means waiting a long time for our money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that 30%, just to be clear, that your target, is that a revised target from what you perhaps hoped you might get in January?
Definitely. I had started off at 60%, but I wanted to make it something. I didn't want to be too disappointed, which is why I dropped it drastically, Lucy, but I just sort of had to have something in my mind. And, you know, taking our expenses into consideration, of course, during lockdown, you know, most of our staff are furloughed. We have 11 staff that are taking it in turns, sort of, you know, working a rota between themselves. So we are able to keep our costs down significantly. But yes, it is a revised target.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll come back. I want to talk about sort of consumer sentiment and what people are thinking and when and where they are booking, if they are doing so. But let's just get the guys' take on things. Paul, let's come to you. What a similar thing to Sandra? Were things going a bit better and then it's slightly receded a little bit?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Lucy. And I recognise everything Sandra said. We're predominantly long haul, so we'd had an incredibly good December, and we had a very high number of departures that got off in December, which is great for them, and it's great for the agents who booked it, and it's great for our confidence. So we were gearing up for clearly not a record-breaking peak season, but we had high hopes. We were maybe a bit more bullish than you, Sandra. I think we were projecting 55 to 60%, and it was coming in. So we felt good about it, but of course, you know, it started before the lockdown, the introduction of the tier 4 and the regional lockdowns. I think the writing was on the wall. I mean, Sandra, speaking to us from Northern Ireland, you know better than anybody else about how these regional lockdowns have affected us all. So I think what we are getting some hope from, Lucy, is we had all of last week doing amendments and rebookings, the same as everybody else on this call, but we did do a significant amount of new business. Nowhere near the numbers we wanted, but it was a significant amount. I think we wrote between Thursday, Friday and Saturday last week, we did £500,000 worth of new business.
And was that new business for winter 2021, or what period was it for?
So we're seeing a little bit what Sandra was saying. It's later business because you know there's a gap between people wanting to kind of maybe receive the vaccination, but it does show us that people are willing to commit. And I think the last thing I would say on it, we've witnessed this from the second lockdown. I mean, there's been a lot of lockdowns for all of us, and as my head of sales said to me the other day, Paul, this isn't our first rodeo, right? We know what we're doing now. In November, we saw the first couple of weeks were very, very quiet, and then it picked up and it picked up and it picked up. So I don't think we can write off peak season yet. I think this week will be telling, But I think there is every opportunity as the vaccine news rolls out and more news rolls out that we could, in the second half of January and into February, see a pickup and possibly just an elongated peak season.
All right. Okay. Well, let's hope so. Keep our fingers crossed. Alan, what were you seeing on the short haul side of things?
Well, as with any lockdown, again, the customer's confidence has been hit, and it's been hit hard. But there is a lot of pent-up demand still out there. There's people still booking 2021, summer 21, winter, and we're even selling for summer 22 now. So we've got to be ready when the demand comes back in force. But until then, every booking counts. But there are encouraging signs, and that is there's never been a better time to be a travel agent, as in customers want that reassurance. And we have actually seen our trade mix of business increase right through this pandemic. And it's currently sitting since the 1st of April last year till yesterday at 33%. Now, that shows something out there, and the travel agents have got to capitalise that. Now, we talk about lockdown, and you might notice by my accent as well that I've been up in Scotland, and it's been a smoke and mirrors lockdown for quite a while here, Northern Ireland through December, Wales, and a lot of England, it started to grow. So we've seen this coming out there for it. The encouraging thing is travel agents, and this is a message that we are getting out to get them to promote at this moment in time, their doors might be closed, but they're open for business. And they've been hugely resilient through this time. And it's demonstrated in that trade mix. And we've seen other numbers, trends, and patterns happening out there that tells us when the demand is back, the travel agents are sitting in a good position.
Well, I know you were telling me you were getting really good conversion rates as well through the trade. So I think if people do go and talk to an agent, it's that reassurance and confidence that an agent can give them that's really helping those conversions for you.
It's very difficult at this time to get somebody that doesn't want to book. But the ones that do want to book, it is genuine and the conversion's there for that. Other things we're seeing out there, and again, in some cases, many travel agents are more accessible now than they ever were before. When their doors were closed, the customer couldn't speak to them. Now it's a 24/7 business that they're looking at out there. And in fact, we've seen a growth in and we actually track this very, very closely. The trade business that comes in after 5:30 at night, if we go back to 2018, it was 17% of our business through that year. 2019, 19%. And in 2020, 21% of our business comes in after that time of night. So it just shows you that the agents are adapting to suit the customer's requirements and needs out there.
All right, well, let's bring Sandra back in then and talk about what you've had to do. I mean, Alan says there, never a better time than now to be an agent, because I guess you're needed more than ever. And he talks about agents adapting. What have you done? How are you operating out of hours? Are you doing the kind of things that Alan's talking about?
Yes, we are. And I think Alan's absolutely right. And, we have had new business from friends of existing customers who would, before this, just have booked themselves. So what we are doing is, first of all, our shops look as if they're open for business. So the shutters are up, the window offers are up to date, the windows are lit up with very clear instructions on how the customers can contact us. So that is all our office existing branch telephone numbers are, once you phone that, there's then a circuit of about 10 or 11 people that are answering the phones. We are more active on our social media than ever before. And we're also hosting virtual events. So we have our virtual events diary now right up until the end of January, where we get people joining us for all sort of informative evenings. Like Alan, we're doing one with Jet2 next week.
I'm pleased to hear it, Sandra.
On Friday, actually, we did. I know we're all maybe fed up with quizzes, but we did a cruise quiz for our customers just to see, what the uptake would be. But it also give us an opportunity between the questions to be talking a wee bit about cruise and about what's going on. So we're going to hold a travel quiz at the end of next week. So we have been continually engaging with our customers, and that has been great. Sending out more e-blasts than normal. Now, not too many, but just sort of trying to get the balance right. But we are certainly communicating.
So you're keeping in touch with your customers, even those who are perhaps not ready to book.
Yes. Hoping that when they will be, that, you know, they'll be thinking about us. And a lot of the destinations that we're talking about on our virtual events, well, it may be, you know, in some of them you just can't book, you know, make arrangements to travel there next week. But when people do want to travel, you know, that they will keep that in mind. And then that also helps us build up a bit of a YouTube library. So, you know, we'll have stuff that will be there forever.
All right, Paul will be asking you to do an event with Caribtours, and as soon as oh, you've done one
3 weeks ago.
Oh, perfect. Well, I was going to ask you, Paul, because you managed to get away yourself, didn't you, over the holidays? And has that helped you come back and talk to your staff to reassure them about how safe you felt, and you know, that sort of personal experience? Has that helped you with your own staff to then relay to customers?
Yeah, it has. So I mean, you know, we're most of our business will go to the Caribbean, and I was in Barbados over Christmas with a family. It was a long-held arrangement. We'd had it booked for a year, and we decided to go ahead with it. And it absolutely has, Lucy. And we knew that the Caribbean was handling the crisis with incredible skill and sensitivity and efficiency, and to experience the Barbados travel protocols firsthand was massively reassuring. I was hoping to use it a lot more to our advantage when we came back, but of course the lockdowns put paid to that. But I think, it really has. And it also, Lucy, it gives you a real perspective on what's happening. And it gave me and my family, and therefore everyone at Caribtours, a real perspective on, we tend to view everything in terms of our headaches, our problem, our lockdown, our clients. You view it from the perspective of the people whose livelihood in Barbados depends on tourism, and I found it quite healthy, and that I must say, the Barbados authorities have handled to date their protocols, the testing, the protocols, the quarantine, with incredible skill. So long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just to move on, because I'm conscious of time, I want to get through a lot with you guys. Obviously, the other news that we've had recently is around testing to come back into the country. And we still don't have all the detail yet that we need on that, which is obviously difficult. How has that gone down? Are you getting inundated with customers asking what that's all about, and how are you having to sort of handle that, Alan? Is that another thing that they're now worrying about? It's also another cost, of course.
That's just what I was going to say. It's certainly another thing. People don't mind to get their holidays out there, but remember, the UK customer works very hard and saves very hard to get their holiday. It's not a luxury, it's more a necessity for them. And this is another major cost that's been put in there, and it's not good news. And I think the quicker, because look at it this way, you need to get a test to go into certain countries and then a test to come back out. And you've got to arrange that in many instances in a foreign language as well. So we are hoping that that's something that will be very short term lived, or it could have a serious impact.
Yeah, but they're talking as well. I mean, the indication is as well that it's not going to replace quarantine either. It looks like it's going to be the test and quarantine still remain. So, Paul, what effect will that have on customers and their willingness or keenness to travel if they're going to? I mean, I know on one hand the industry welcomed this testing news, didn't it? Because we have been calling for it for 10 months, but it's now come in, still not clear, and it sounds like quarantine's going to remain, and so it's.
Yeah, I think so, Lucy, and I think we'll probably approach this maybe from a different angle to Alan for obvious reasons. For us, it's just much more, it's not thought through. We've been asking for it for 10 months. I think we all know it's necessary. I think we all think it's a welcome addition. But here we are 10 months into the crisis, and without dating this podcast, it kind of appeared on my newsfeed at 3 a.m. in the morning on Friday morning that it was going to be introduced with no other explanation. So customers know it's coming, but they know as much as we do. I think there's the cost element. Alan's absolutely right that is a concern, but there's also the practicalities. Not every destination has the infrastructure to put that in place. So I think what we are seeing time and time again is we've split our clients into, there is the 50% who are eager to travel regardless, and they are desperate to travel, and they are proving themselves to be remarkably resilient, whatever is thrown at them. And there is the other 50% who are not those things, and they will not travel until that. So I think my 50-50 split is intact, whether there's testing or not.
Right. Okay.
I have a feeling this testing will be over before it started, because if the pace of vaccination and if the pace of everything else comes into place, I cannot see it going through as they have suggested it might do.
Okay. And is that something that comes up for you, Sandra, when clients, I mean, what are their main, I mean, I know you talked about how they're nervous because obviously this new variant of COVID is more transmissible. So it's, you know, people, we now know, don't we? All of us, I'm sure, know more people that have now had COVID. So I guess that's frightening. But in terms of them traveling, do they worry about the testing cost? Do they worry about the vaccine rollout? What's top of mind?
Okay, well, we've had a bit of a mix. So whenever the PCR testing came out and people were able to go to the Canaries, we did a deal with one of the private testing companies to get it cheaper than it was online, and we publicised that, and we made bookings on behalf of our customers, and that was great. Then there's more problems whenever you're living in Ireland, because a lot of our long hauls, so say Maldives, so we would send people on the BA flights through London. Unfortunately, there's a very little service now between Belfast and London. So you're likely then to send people out of Dublin via Dubai. So if they're going into the Indian Ocean, then they've got a test before they go. They've got a test in Dubai again. There's like, it's so difficult and so complicated now. And then they've got the test whenever they get back again. It is becoming a bit of an issue. And actually what I did this morning was I printed out, just before speaking to you, all the people that were to take long haul bookings in, between now and the end of January, people who had booked to the Indian Ocean, people who had, and a lot of those bookings are changed. Now we have some people due to go, and all being well, they still will go. Like Paul, we had some lovely Christmas business to the Caribbean and the Indian Ocean. People had a wonderful time. But it just is a difficult job reassuring people when there's so much going on. And because I think we have had experience where people have gone out and tested positive once they've arrived in the Caribbean. So it's a difficult one. It's difficult just to give people a lot of confidence with what's going on to travel imminently.
And what do you do then? Because, some agents are just saying, do you know what, we're not confident. It's too complicated, complex, whatever, and so actually we'd rather just not sell anything at the minute because you don't want to deal with all the cancellations and all the different, like you're talking about with positive tests and stuff. So does it put you off selling anything, or do you just change what you're selling, or do you just sell further out so that you feel more confident in the future, the forward business?
Oh no, we are so keen to get sales in, but encourage people to travel just a little bit later. It's difficult to sell for travel certainly before, I would say, the beginning of April, but definitely we're wanting to sell it. It's January and we want every sale we can get.
Yeah. And Alan, in terms of when you realistically think there could be some significant, volumes again, I mean, people are now talking, I think, around sort of May half term and the summer, hopefully. Are you writing off Easter? I can't believe a company I don't believe you, Alan, will write off anything. But people are now worrying about Easter. Is that your sort of thinking as well? Or
at this moment in time, our planes are going to start flying on the 12th of February. Every time we've got an earliest date that we can operate to, we will work to do our best to get the planes in the air. Because unless you start getting us flying, the hotels open, the resorts open, the confidence isn't going to be there for the volume. So bigger volume, certainly the later you go. And in fact, that goes interesting enough for the trade mix, which backs up what Sandra said. When you look at winter 21-22, the trade mix is 38%. If you look at summer 22, the trade mix is 48%. Nearly one in every two bookings is through a travel agent. But the travel agent's got to remember, we need to get cash flow going, and we need to get customers traveling now so they come back and have a good experience and book a holiday again for that little bit further.
So you understand why our agents are selling further out, but your message is don't just ignore this year either, because you need to get it going.
I think two things, and I can understand why a number of agents out there would think that, but you've got to give people a reason to book rather than a reason not to book. And it's a damn sight easier and lazier why not to book. So you've got to push everybody. And you know, there are still people booking, amazingly, before that 31 March date that you mentioned in Easter. There's a number of people out there. Whether I would do it, you would do it, is irrelevant. Find those people, get them booking, and let's get traveling again.
And with the vaccine rollout, Alan, obviously, you know, we're hoping it's, you know, going at some pace now in this country, but there's lots of reports in the news around how other countries are way behind us. I mean, and we'd like to be further forward, wouldn't we? But we are where we are. But there's some countries that are way behind us. And so does that worry, you know, particularly around the European destinations that you travel to? Do people worry about that? If they're vaccinated, are they, you know, or, you know, and if other countries are further behind, is that a concern?
Personally speaking, purely personally, there's not many countries in this world that I'd fear going to rather than walking down my main street, to be quite honest with you. We're market leaders in a disaster at this moment in time. So we need to get our own house in order and then go to these countries. I would not fear for my life or my family's life going to anywhere that we fly to. Okay,
good. That's very clear. That's very clear. Sandra, just wanted to pick up on the whole issue about the refund credit notes. Obviously, we know that they're covered until the end of January. We're yet to hear whether they're going to extend that protection. Would that be, I mean, that's presumably something you need to know because you may get more cancellations. Is that something that's sort of on your mind at the moment?
To be honest with you, Lucy, we did encourage a lot of people to try and make the booking rather than to hang on to the refund credit notes. So because there was so much confusion about it, we sort of encouraged people to actually have a booking with an ATOL certificate that could be changed again if we didn't want that, if you know, if that wasn't the booking that they wanted. So we don't have that many, but it certainly is an issue for any that are outstanding. But we have sort of more changed bookings than refund credit notes.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. And just in terms of you running your business and grants and things that have been made available, is that something you've been able to access this time round, or is it, you know, because I know you managed to get some the first time, is that you know, to help you get through this next lockdown?
Yes, certainly, because you really have to plan from, you know, for the next lot of months. So the grant that we received during lockdown this time will be equivalent to sort of us paying our salaries for a month. So I think we got over £30,000 we're getting for this 6 week lockdown period. And of course, you know, we still have furlough and other things on top of that. We were also able to claim money from the various different councils within Northern Ireland, and every office has almost a different council here. So it's been different laws, but we've been able to claim money for any things that we've done to the office for buying our sanitizers, and some of the offices we've got £2,500 for. So all of this adds up. But I think actually being locked down is probably beneficial to us at the minute, because if we didn't have the lockdown, we wouldn't have the grant and would still be in the same position, because I don't think there'd be a lot of people out and in our shops. So
when you're the tiered system, yes, of course.
I'm not sure that we'll be selling any more if our shops were open, because I think we're doing everything we can to get business in. The phones are ringing. We do have inquiries. Inquiries are coming through our website, and there's no doubt about it. There is an appetite for people to make holiday arrangements, but it's just at a lower percentage, much lower percentage of what January would normally be. But I think the vaccination is important, and Alan, you're probably going to laugh, but a Jet2 customer that I was speaking to last week, and he was talking about himself. His wife is 88, and he said, I'm 95, and we don't have much time left. When can I get away on holiday? He said, we've had our first vaccine, but the next one's not for 12 weeks. And then people are asking us, do I have to wait another 12 weeks, or can I go now?
Well, you know, we laugh at that, but it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because of course, when the news was announced about the vaccine, it was like you have the first shot, then 3 weeks later you get the next. And then of course they changed it, didn't they, to make it 12 weeks later. And I hear all the time in the news going, am I protected with just the first injection? You know, or do I need to still be careful and perhaps shield or whatever it is until I've had the full, the second dose? So what are you telling people if they ask if they should travel, if they've had one lot but not the second?
Yeah, well, I just said that perhaps you want to double check with your doctor. I mean, it's really hard to give medical advice.
Yeah.
But actually, when you listen to, we have a team Zoom meeting every morning, and there's a lot of people calling asking, am I okay now? Is this going to protect me? You know, instead of maybe checking with the doctors. But you know, this guy's booked, Alan, for one of your first flights in February. So I think he's happy to go and come back and be alive for his next vaccine. So you know, and you do find that sometimes our older clients who are traveling at this time of the year have a different way of looking at things, and they are optimistic and they're looking forward to traveling, and this vaccine is like a passport for them.
Yeah, well, I guess that falls into Paul. Your 50% that are going to go whatever, and then you go. So in terms of your clientele, then are you just kind of leaving the other 50% alone and saying be ready when they are? Or I mean, obviously you're doing inspirational things with Sandra and I guess other agents to just try and keep front of mind. But what do you do if we can sort of finish off this webcast by looking forward, if we can, about some of the more creative and inspirational things that you're doing?
Yeah, well, I think for us, I mean, something Sandra said at the very beginning is I think what everyone has learned now we're in our third lockdown is you've got to keep the lights on. You've got to keep your reputation out there. You've got to communicate with your customers or your travel agents, because otherwise doubt creeps in very, very quickly. So we've carried on as usual. We had our Big Peaks campaign that was due to land through the Sunday Times and to all of our agents last week, and we went ahead with it. So our job is to inspire people and ready for when they're ready. And the thing that is stopping our customers traveling at the moment isn't a vaccine or lack of clarity between the first and second vaccine. The only thing that's stopping them travel is a lockdown. The vaccine will be great. I think it happens to suit our government to give us a bit of doubt about we have to wait for the second dose of the vaccine, because they don't want the UK to go nuts and start partying as soon as they've had their first jab. Not that Sandra's 95-year-old client would start partying, I'm sure. But so yeah, that's what we're doing. We're looking ahead. We're taking bookings. Our deadline is the 15th of March. So we're taking new bookings from the 15th of March onwards. And I think what's really important to say, Alan, it's great to hear what Jet2 are doing. It's not brave to say you're doing it from the 12th of February. No, as long as you can offer flexibility to your customers, you're the one who's got the headache, Sandra, if they can't go, not them. You'll protect your customers. You'll make sure that all of your operators that you're working with have got no quibble refunds or no quibble re-protection dates. So I think the customer has got nothing to lose. They want to go away as soon as possible. The reason they want to go away on 12th of February, Alan, the reason you're doing that is because of half term. It's clearly an important time for you, and it's an important time for your customers. So we are just pushing. We're taking a lot of bookings for March onwards. Our fingers are crossed. But of course, if we got bad news, then we would just do what we've been doing day in, day out for the last 10 months and rebook people again.
And you talk about how it's Sandra's headache or it's the tour operator's headache. I mean, actually, you all have to take on, you add in all this more flexibility to give that confidence to get the booking in. And clearly that's extra work. It's not as easy for you as it used to be. And presumably, are you both as tour operators planning to maintain that flexibility going forward? Is this going to be something that you retrench from when things get better? Or do you think tour operators in general will have to now maintain these new levels of flexibility that you're now having to offer?
I think from our point of view, I think we'll never go back to doing things the way we did them before. I think it's a new world we all live in now. I think what customers, this whole pandemic and the whole crisis management has exposed to agents, to airlines, to operators, to clients about this whole flow of business and how it works. And I do think, whether you like it or not, nothing will be the same again. And what's so bad about offering that much flexibility? What's so bad about being available for your customers around the clock? What's so bad about having your team working in this new way of working? So I think it will be quite different from 21 onwards.
Okay. And Alan?
From our perspective, remember my tagline, Jet2 holidays, package holidays you can trust. It's been there for 12 years. Now, what we've got to do is communicate the reasons why they should be booking with a package operator they can trust, through a travel agent they can trust. We have just rolled out a refund guarantee, which is basically what we've been doing more or less all the way through this. You mentioned refund credit notes. Well, we switched away from that with the trade months and months ago and just offered an automatic refund to simplify their life. And they had got in and proven to us that they could get those customers rebooked, exactly what Sandra was saying. The refund guarantee, if we're forced to cancel anybody's holiday, they will get a full refund on that holiday. So again, it's communicating the messages out there of how we've operated continuously throughout
and that's
this.
exactly to Paul's point, that there's nothing to lose if you're a customer.
Exactly.
Just get it booked, because you guys, between you, will sort it out if there's any reason for to need to cancel.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, that is, I didn't want this to be too depressing, and it does seem that we have got some little chinks of light, and you're all staying positive. It's great to hear the dates that you're working to, and I really, really hope that you get bookings coming in from those dates onwards. And I hope, I just wish you all the success going forward to all of you. So thank you very much to Sandra from Oasis Travel, to Paul from Caribtours, and to Alan from Jet2 Holidays. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.